Okay, I think we are slowly getting everything in order here. Everybody take a deep breath. Hello, everybody! Okay, it is Bing Bang Buddy Boop. It is 12 o'clock time for our special event today. I am Deanna Doviat. I will be your Zoom host, and Reba Spencer is my co-host. And right now, I want to go over some online etiquette. So right now, oh, actually, I want to welcome our guest. Can I welcome my guest? Is it Carlo? And okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Let me rewind. And then just go over the online etiquette. Right now, if we can all turn off our audio and also turn off our video, this is going to help us as far as the bandwidth. And later on during the contest, we'll have you turn everything back on, and Stacy will let you know when that is the right time. And also, if we can all please refrain from chatting in the chat box while the contest is going on, that will also be very helpful for our speakers so that it doesn't distract them. And if for some reason you get disconnected and you need to come back in, you'll be in the waiting room. And if there's a speaker speaking, we'll have you wait in the waiting room until the speaker is finished. And once the speaker is finished, then we'll let you in. So please be patient with us if that does happen. And right now, what I'd like to do is welcome our district dignitaries. We've got a lot of people here today, and I want to give special recognition. I thank you for coming today. We have our immediate past district director, Lucille Shaw. And I know that you're not able to see each other as far as doing our clapping, but help me welcome Lucille Shaw. And then also our current division directors. We have Eastern Division Director Reba Spencer. And for our current area director, we have Matt Corrales, who is our Area 23 Director. And past district director, we have Paul Kildani. And our past area director is Melissa Spiegler. So thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, I am going to turn this over to our Toastmaster for today. And our Toastmaster today, she has done a lot of work putting together this speech contest, going through the rule book and reading it and making sure that things are working properly. So I want you to all help me welcome Stacy Bacon.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to this contest. I am so excited to be your Toastmaster today. We have 4 excellent contestants, 2 guys and 2 gals. All of them are experienced speakers, so we should hear some great speeches today. But first, I want to give you a little history about Toastmasters International, because not everyone in this audience might know. Back in October 22 of 1924 at the YMCA in Santa Ana, California, a club called Smedley Chapter 1 Club became the first Toastmasters Club. Toastmasters International was incorporated under California law on December 19th of 1932. I hope you're taking notes, just kidding. In 1973, the organization began admitting women. That's when it improved. I'm just making that up. So throughout its history, Toastmasters has served over 4 million people, and today the organization services over 364,000 members in 145 countries. So through 16,200 Toastmasters member clubs. Toastmasters holds its annual international convention every year in August and involves over 33,000 participants from 141 countries, making it the world's largest speech contest. At this point in time, I would like to begin our contest, but first, I want to say that the chief judge has informed me that all the contestants, judges, timers, and ballot counters have all been briefed to the beginning of the contest. I would like to remind all audience members to please turn off your videos and make sure you are muted. So let the contest begin. International speech contestants, please indicate you're present when I call your name. So you have to unmute so I can hear you say, thank you. The speaking order for the International Speech Contest is contestant number 1, Deanna DeVries. I'm sorry, rewind, Devin DeVries.
Present.
Okay, contestant number 2, Jesse Kiko.
Yes, hello. This is Jessie.
Okay, contestant number 3, Pat Hartley.
Ready to go.
All right, and contestant number 4, Corey Murphy.
Present.
All right, everybody's here and ready to go. So if you are the first contestant, leave your mute off. And if you're not a contestant right now, turn your mute back on. So there will be 1 minute of silence before the first contestant and between each contestant. So timer, I need you to advise me or signal me with the green screen when 1 minute is up. After all contestants have spoken, the judges will be given all the time they need to complete their ballots. Timer, please time 1 minute of silence now. Contestant number 1, please acknowledge you're unmuted by saying Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Devin DeVries, most people accept the first no. Most people accept the first no, Devin DeVries.
Have you ever had a dream that someone told you no and you accepted that? The year was 1997. I was 12 years old and I eagerly rushed home to tell my parents about the upcoming 6th grade trip to the state capitol. They were going to fly us for 3 days touring Sacramento and Gold Rush country, and I wanted to go so badly. But when we got around to the how much is this going to cost question, that's when I got the hard news. My dad turned to me and he said, "I'm sorry, boo-boo." That's my nickname. The money's been really tight and I wish we could, but we just don't have an extra $400 to send you on a trip right now. And I was crushed. And I went off to my room, have a little pity party and cry, "This isn't fair," in typical dramatic 12-year-old fashion. But after I calmed down a little bit, I started to think of something my grandmother would tell us. And she said, if somebody wants something bad enough, they'll find a way to get it. It's just that most people accept the first no and give up. So that's when I decided to get to work. And I put together a plan. And I asked if I could talk to my parents after dinner the next night. And that's when I laid out my proposal. So I asked if they could give me the $150 deposit to hold my spot on the trip. I would pay back that loan plus earn the rest of the money for the trip in the 3 months that it would take. And they accepted the proposal because I came with a fundraising strategy. And so for the next 3 months, I dug in. And my fundraising ideas included selling coffee and hot chocolate and muffins in the morning before school. And then after school, selling popsicles and ice cream sandwiches. And I even went door to door selling See's candy in the spring. And it was a lot of hard work. But in 3 months' time, I met my goal. I earned enough to cover the whole cost of the trip, plus $60 extra that I got to use as souvenir money. And the trip was so much fun and so much more meaningful to me because I had worked so hard for it. Now, I love that story and the memory of the trip. But do you know who loves that story even more? My father. Father is so proud to tell people about how I came up with a fundraising strategy and presented a plan and followed through on it. Now that was 23 years ago, and I have to confess something. Sometimes I wonder what happened to that little girl. She was so full of optimism. She had a goal and she knew she could do it. She hadn't yet faced any major failures or had to struggle with anxiety and depression and fear of failure, those things that tend to hold us back as we grow older. Now, this past year has been a challenging one. And though I know we all have different circumstances and the pandemic has affected us differently, one thing it did give me was a chance to pause and reflect on my life and the paths I've taken. You know, which ones did I take because I was going after a dream and a passion? And which choices did I make out of fear or because it's what I thought was expected of me? And this story about the trip to Sacramento kind of kept popping into my head. And I really feel like there's two kind of major lessons that I took from it that I want to make sure I apply in my life going forward. And the first is, don't accept the first no. If you have something you are really passionate about, you can find a way. And especially if the only barrier is monetary. There are so many creative things you can do to earn money or exchanges of services you can do with people if you're just willing to think creatively. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and sacrifices will probably need to be made. I mean, for me, did I want to get up an hour earlier to sell coffee in the morning? No. Anybody who knows me well knows I am not a morning person. But that sacrifice was worth it because of the goal I had. So what is worth it to you? And the second thing, and this is a little harder to quantify, but when we go after our dreams, we have a positive impact on others. Now, I'll admit, when I was coming up with my plan, I was thinking about myself. And what I didn't know at that time was that several of the other kids in my class were having a very similar conversation with their parents, who also didn't have an extra $400 to send their kid on a trip. So when I presented my fundraising plan to the school, we gave all the kids in the class the opportunity to participate. And because of that, 4 other kids in my class were able to earn the funds for their trip and join us. So we may not know in the moment what our actions mean to others, but us following our dreams may just be the inspiration somebody else needed to follow theirs. As I wrap up, I'll leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney. And he said, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So let's find that courage and go conquer our dreams. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Maybe we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Contestant number 2, please acknowledge you're unmuted by saying Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Jesse Kiko, my business mentor, Jesse Kiko.
Have you ever had someone impact your life for the better? I'd like to tell you about someone who impacted my life, and his name was Richard. I could never have done what I did in the company I was in if it hadn't been for Richard. Richard was the corporate lawyer for the company I was in that I had helped create with my then husband, Fred, back in 1998 and sold it in 2001. Richard was a shining example of a mentor because he went over and above any call of duty as a corporate lawyer. Some of the qualities that he embodied were coaching, encouragement, guidance, and leadership. And one of the things he did not do was he did not do too much. And that was great for Fred and me because we loved doing things our own way and building the company the way we wanted. Richard taught me self-reliance, independence, a strong work ethic, and he taught me how to rely and count on my own business intuition because that's crucial for building a company. One more thing that Richard taught me was how to stay calm even in the midst of adversity. And I'll give you a little story about that in a minute. But probably the most important thing that Richard taught me was the value of simply how to care for others. And he did that by his own example. I think you've heard the phrase, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. The way Richard cared for me was by learning what was important to me, And what was important to me at the time, now and then, was my daughter. And back then, she was just in grade school. And every so often, Richard would ask, how's Melanie doing on her upcoming performance? Or how was that last play she was in? Or whatever was going on at the time. And this made for a deeper connection. On several occasions, Richard would comment if Fred and I had been up late the night before working on emails. And Richard would say, I see you were up a little late last night. I noticed the 1 a.m. timestamp on the email. And the fact that Richard noticed our effort and our dedication was important to us, and it was a rare form of praise that we probably weren't going to receive from much of any place else. He also encouraged us to go on vacation once in a while. And these small details, they were meaning a lot to us, and they also made us feel like Richard was also our friend. Now, Richard was also really good with handling the big things within the company. For example, when we were still in the early part of the company and we were working out of the basement of our home, one day Fred came to me rather upset, and he said, Richard says we have to start paying ourselves a salary because the labor board is going to say we're not in compliance unless we do. Oh, well, the thing is, Richard knew that I didn't have a problem with taking a salary. It was Fred that wanted to maintain cash and build equity. So we took a small salary and waited for to become more successful to increase salaries. And the thing is, as time went on, eventually we were able to hire more employees, move into a larger office space, and hire a CEO. And one day, and this is the story I wanted to make sure I told you, the CEO called me into his office. We talked for a while, and I was on my way out, and he said, you know, I think I'd like you to step down from the board of directors. I was humiliated. I was so surprised. I didn't know what to do. My adrenaline started to pump. And I just said, well, the thing is, we didn't know it yet then, but he was planning a hostile takeover. And I said to him, I'll talk to Fred and I'll get back with you. I left, went back to my office, closed the door, picked up the phone and called Richard. And not to disclose attorney-client privilege, but my interpretation of what Richard said was, heck no, don't get off the board of directors. I wouldn't, but you can get off the board if you want because after all, it is your company. So I talked with Fred and we decided I would stay on the board and keep my finger on the pulse of what was going on, whatever was going on with this company. Well, a few months later, we needed to fire that CEO, but we had to bring in an outside corporate law firm to do that. And they negotiated taking over as our new corporate lawyers. So I lost my mentor, I lost my Richard, but I would always remember him for everything he did. And the thing is, because of this particular Pathways Toastmasters assignment, I reached out to Richard because it had been 20 years since we had spoken. And guess what? I reached him. And I don't remember who was probably more surprised when he came to the phone, because after 20 years, we had a great talk. And we talked a little bit about the old days, had a couple laughs. I was able to thank him for being my mentor. And he asked me about my daughter. I told him that we couldn't have done it without you. And he humbly replied, oh, you two didn't need much help from me. Always the mentor, encouraging his protege. In closing, I would like to ask you, who has mentored you and where can you pay it forward? Because mentoring is one of the greatest experiences you can have. And you never know when somebody might need a little encouragement, and a little detail can go a long way with somebody else. Please look around and pay it forward. Thank you. I yield to the Toastmaster.
May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots? Contestant number 3, please acknowledge you are unmuted by saying Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Pat Hartley, like a boss leader, Pat Hartley.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Pat Hartley. I'm going to start with a quote from a favorite leader of mine, Michael Scott. Sometimes you have to take a break from being the kind of boss that's always trying to teach things. Sometimes you just have to be the boss of dancing. Now, I don't dance, but I do like to sing and occasionally rap. So here goes. Martin Luther King was a man with a dream. He did the March on Washington. Abraham Lincoln was Honest Abe. He freed the slaves, but he never shaved. Joan of Arc was a patron saint. She went to war with no complaints. If you want to be a leader, drop that ego, and you can fly away like a flock of seagulls. Thank you. Now in that rap, I mentioned some great leaders, Joan of Arc, Abraham Lincoln, and Martin Luther King. These leaders all had great qualities. I'm going to tell you about some of these qualities that I value and what they mean to me. Great leaders are great communicators. They are passionate about what they do, and they are very humble. A great Honest Abe got his nickname because he was very authentic and people knew he cared. A great communicator is a great listener, which reminds me of another rhyme. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They don't seek the credit for their accomplishments because they know it's not about them. They know that they can't do it alone. They know it takes time to build trust. Some people call this emotional intelligence or soft people skills. A few years ago, I was given the task of training some fellow editors at my TV station. I recognized that my teaching style was causing problems. I had to step back and ask for guidance from a mentor. I learned that I had to create a safe space where my fellow editors were able to come to me with problems. I had to be open to criticism. I asked my trainees if they had any ideas or suggestions for how to improve the workflow process. It took a while, but things slowly improved. I had become more transparent and I had given my trainees more autonomy. By being more transparent, I was able to build trust. I was able to build respect, and I was able to build a connection. Now with connection comes creativity. I don't think I need to convince you that I'm passionate about creativity. I love to sing and dance and write creative stories, but a great leader also has to be passionate, which reminds me of another rhyme. In order to love what you do, you have to know what you love too. Some leaders like Joan of Arc, they're just born leaders. They have that passion. Others, like Abraham Lincoln, they developed their passion to serve over time. Martin Luther King was thrust into leadership through adversity, and he rose to the occasion. Though I don't necessarily strive to become a leader, I hope to serve my community and connect with people through my passion. It gives me joy to connect with people, to tell stories, and it took me a while to realize my passion, only through the help of mentors. Great leaders, they're humble enough to ask for help. They're humble enough to seek mentors because they never stop learning. Great mentors, that reminds me of another rhyme. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking of yourself less. By asking for help, you're saying to the universe, I'm worthy of help. I am worthy of connection. You're speaking at the same time, you're being vulnerable and you're speaking up for yourself. You've connected with yourself, and with the courage to communicate, the courage to pursue your passion, and the courage to just go for it and be who you've always dreamed to be, to connect to your joy, you're improving your life and you're stepping out of your comfort zone. And to do that, you have to ask for help. Because I encourage you to do that, because asking for help is getting a bad rap. Thank you.
May we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots? Contestant number 4, please acknowledge you are unmuted by saying Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Corey Murphy, best use of time in a shark attack? Best use of time in a shark attack, Corey Murphy.
Hi, everyone. What does Mother Teresa, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden have in common? You might not think a lot, but they do. They have something in common. The thing that they have in common is that they all have the same amount of time in a day. That's it. They don't have any more time. No one's given more time. And I told this story to Chris, and Chris says, you know, that's a great story, but what does that have to do with business and being successful? And I said, Chris, it has everything to do with business and being successful, because we only get a certain amount of time in a day, and we have to use that time wisely. Chris came to me, and he was interested in growing his business. He actually was a full-time employee. He worked at someone else's business, and he had a dream of starting his own business. And so he started his business, and he told me, he said, hey, Murph, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I got the best social media. I got the best face headshot. I got the best post. I even got a really good product. But the thing is that I don't make enough money to quit my day job and do this full time. Can you help me? And I said, Chris, first thing you need to know is you need to know where your time is being spent. Your time, you have to use your time wisely. And you have to guard that time. You have to protect that time. That makes the difference. The time is all, it makes the difference in someone that is average and someone that is greatly successful. So I said, Chris, I'm going to tell you another story and it's all going to make sense. And he said, okay. So I told him a story about this shark attack. And I'm from the big island of Hawaii, and I grew up in Hawaii. And I have a friend that actually witnessed a shark attack firsthand. And so a few years after he actually went through this horrifying experience, I asked him, I said, well, what happened? And he said that he was surfing on the big island of Hawaii, him and his girlfriend, and they were in the water. They were waiting for waves. His girlfriend was probably about 20 feet away. And all of a sudden, this huge explosion of white water surrounds his girlfriend. And he looks to his girlfriend. She shrieks and then dips underneath the water. She comes up only a few seconds later, screaming, "Shark, shark!" My friend paddles over on his surfboard over to the hysterical girl. And he noticed that there is, in fact, a 15-foot tiger shark circling. And he noticed that the shark is getting closer and closer and closer. The shark is going to come in for another bite. So what he does is he sees the shark approaching and he swims underneath the water and he punches the shark. He kicks the shark. He does everything he can to block that shark from biting his girlfriend or biting himself. The shark gets irritated and actually swims around, swims in the distance, but he can see that the shark is going to come back for another attack. And so the shark is circling one more time and he sees the shark coming in one more time. My friend goes under the water, he hits the shark, he kicks the shark. He does everything he can to fight that shark. And then eventually that shark actually takes off. Him and his girlfriend have enough time to get on their surfboards and paddle to the beach. They go to the beach and his girlfriend suffered many stitches. She was badly bitten, but she did survive. And then hearing that story, I asked my friend, I said, you know, I surf and I don't want to get bit by a shark. So is there anything that I could do to maybe improve my chances of survival? He said, if a shark wants to bite you, there's nothing that you can do. They have the advantage. There's nothing that you can do except one thing, he said. I said, well, what is it? What is it? And he says that many people believe that a shark attack only happens when there's a stream, when the water's dirty, maybe at nighttime, or when there's blood in the water. And he said that none of that was the case. There was no blood in the water. It was a beautiful day in Hawaii. There was no stream. The water was crystal clear. He said, but the one thing that you can do to survive is you can fight. And that's the only thing that you can truly do to survive a shark attack is fight. And I told that story to Chris, and Chris says, that's a wonderful story. But what does that have to do with success in business? I said, everything, Chris, everything. The point is that if you want to survive in business, if you want to be successful, you need to fight for that time. That time is so precious. You need to fight for that. And a lot of people take that for granted. They don't use their time wisely and they don't do what is necessary. So Chris and myself, we develop a plan to use this time in the highest and best use of time. And what we found out that is if he spent an hour a day making phone calls to the key players that would help his organization and help him grow his business, he would grow his business. And I'm happy to say that he actually grew his business. He actually was making more money, not enough to quit his day job, but enough to see the light at the end of the tunnel that this is possible. This is a real possibility. So I come back to you and I ask you, where is the highest and best use of your time? Do you have a business? Do you work for a company? Do you have a family? Do you have children? Because every single one of those aspects can use the highest and best use of your time. You need to know what that is. You need to guard that time. And you need to fight with everything you've got to keep that time safe. And then, and only then, will you achieve greatness. Thank you.
Maybe we have 1 minute of silence while the judges mark their ballots. Everyone will remain on mute while the judges have all the time they need to complete their ballots, and the ballots have been received by the chief judge. Everyone can turn on their video now. We will be using the silent applause today. So let's all practice the silent applause. All right, looks like everybody's got it. Thank you. Let's get to know our contestants. I'd like to interview you in the order in which that you spoke. So, Devin DeVries.
Stace, hold on 1 second until the ballot is collected. Thank you.
Okay.
A hold off interview until the ballots have been collected and we are in our room. Thank you.
Hey, Reba, can you send Debbie and Lucille and Angeles in the break room? I'm having issues. I think it worked. Okay.
Does that mean we're ready? Not yet.
They're all good, Stacy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Devin. Devin lives in Oceanside and works for Indie Books International. How long have you been in Toastmasters, Devin?
4 years.
4 years. Good. Devin helps consultant authors with showcase speaking events. Is that correct?
Yes, we own a business book publishing company and we help authors get their message out there.
Great. And when I was reading your profile, you said that you love your work and the flexibility it gives you to work anywhere that you have Wi-Fi. But if you could choose one place in the world to have your office, it would be on Main Street in the heart of Disneyland. It sounds like you're a kid at heart. Can you tell me why you love Disneyland so much?
I love Disneyland because of just the feeling you get there, the hope and the optimism. And it just kind of gives you a view of a better world, I think, if we all believed a little bit in magic and were open to new possibilities.
Great answer. And what else do you like to do in your spare time?
I read a lot, as you may guess. I also love, well, you guys got to see briefly my niece, Sadie, who lives across the country. So I love to video chat with her and my sister. And I love Broadway musicals. And as we touched on, anything Disney. So that includes movies and TV shows and going to the parks when they're open.
Wow, that's wonderful. Sounds like you like getting outdoors. So let me move on to, good. I'd like to move on to Jessie now, if that's okay. I have a few questions for Jessie.
Sure.
Jessie lives in Corona Del Mar, and she's currently our Sergeant at Arms. Jessie is a life coach and was also a human resources manager for a technology company. Jessie, I loved your quote, "I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care." Can you explain why that quote is your favorite?
I think it's my favorite because when you really, can you hear me? When you
Yes.
really, here, thank you. When you really think about it, it's one of the most important things, it's very universal in the world, just sort of like a smile is universal, and caring for other people is so universal. And it doesn't take a lot to really make a big impression on somebody's life or even on their day, to help them out with a little guidance and encouragement. And it was a big impact for me in the story I told with my mentor. And I know my daughter appreciates it because I give her a lot of care, and she gives me a lot of love for it. And it's just sort of been the way I was brought up. Thank you.
Awesome. You know, I've known you for a long time. And yeah, I know you joined Toastmasters probably because I told you about it.
Yes.
How long have you been in Toastmasters? And what do you like the best about it?
I've been in Toastmasters, just about a year, maybe just a little over a year now. And I love watching the competitions, and I love watching people grow. And I also love watching the people that have been in for a while and how experienced they are and professional with speaking. I know one of the things I do a lot is say a lot of ums and ands. And this is one of the things that I'm putting more attention on. And it's interesting because you watch people on TV and they say ums and ands all the time. And I think it's a great challenge for anybody to join Toastmasters and get better at speaking.
It is. It's great. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's excellent information. I also noticed that you moved recently. I was at your other place. I guess it was Carlsbad and Encinitas, and you moved to Corona del Mar. What do you like that's different about Corona del Mar, or what do you don't like about what's different at Corona del Mar?
Well, the thing I like most about it is it puts me at least 45 minutes to an hour closer to my daughter, which, as I mentioned, she's very important to me, and she's up in LA in Culver City and getting ready to get married next year. So I need to be around, and then hopefully they'll have a baby too. And, I'll be that much closer. What I don't like about it so far is that the shopping, I'm still getting my apartment settled, and I just find myself going to Carlsbad to do my shopping, probably because I'm so familiar with it, but I just like it there, and it just seems a lot easier to get around. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Great answers, and I really love getting to know more about you. Now I think I'm going to move on to Pat and ask Pat a few questions. Are you ready, Pat? Unmute yourself. Thank you, Jesse.
Yes. Hi, Stacy.
Hey, hi, Pat. Pat's from San Diego. And do you live in San Diego, or do you live up in North County?
Oh, yeah.
I
I live
wasn't sure. Pardon?
Oceanside.
Oceanside. Okay, you are in North County. And how long have you been in Toastmasters?
About little over 2 years.
Okay, what do you like about Toastmasters?
I love about Toastmasters is, I would say, it just keeps me current in my practice, my public speaking. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I like to use it to keep those speaking skills strong.
Great. Also, I noticed a lot about you is that you love music, of course, and I think I've heard you play guitar, and that you also love photos and videos. That you're a photographer, you're an artist, a creative person. What do you love the most? Tell me about your best video shoot and why it was your best video shoot.
My favorite project was actually I didn't really do the video for it, but I did the editing. It was a documentary about Cuba, and it was really an education because I had to learn the history of Cuba and their culture and their music and their people, and it was really fascinating to me, not knowing much about the history of Cuba, and it's such a diverse island with so many different people and so many different cultures, and it was it was really cool because I love music. So I was learning all these artists from the decades ago, Celia Cruz and Perez Prado, and just they really influenced a lot of jazz in the United States. So it was just I really enjoyed it. I was working late making designing sound and just learning about the histories. It was really fun for me.
Cool. Maybe you'll be famous someday. And then you can travel everywhere you want to go, and you can video and photograph all over the world. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be I would really like that very much.
Life, yes. Well, thank you, Pat. Great answers. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to move on to Corey. Corey, are you unmuted and ready to go?
Stacey.
Okay, Corey. Corey's a local realtor. And how long have you been in Toastmasters, Corey?
I think 9 years now.
9 years. Okay. I see your ads on Facebook. I see the houses that you've sold. I think that's really exciting. And what town do you live in?
I live in South Oceanside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I lived in the same house for I think it's 18 years now, 17 years. It's crazy when I say that out loud.
Yeah. Is that how long you've been in the mainland? I guess you used to live in Hawaii, correct?
I've been in the mainland longer. Yeah, it's called the mainland. But yeah, I've been in the mainland for some time, longer than that. As soon as I graduated high school, I knew I had to leave. So I left.
Okay. I love a man who knows what he wants. I think that's great. That's perfect. But I know that you do something besides just sell homes or buy homes. I believe I saw something recently about you helping someone officiate their wedding, and that you actually help couples to get married. So how did you get?
Yeah. I've done 3. I officiated 3 weddings. Actually, I have the officiation plaque right there.
Okay.
If you would have asked any of my classmates from high school that if I would do anything like that or public speak, they would say no way. I was a shy guy in high school. Had a learning disability, so I was very shy about all that. And Toastmasters has really opened a lot of doors for me and pushed my comfort zone. That doing officiating and doing public speeches is really, it pushes my comfort zone, which I like. I've grown a lot in this meeting.
Cool. Well, that's a good experience. It's very good. So what do you love best about Toastmasters?
I think that public speaking is an art, and I think that you'll never completely master it. And I like that. And I like that there's different techniques and there's different ways to entice people or persuade. And I love the story. I've always loved story. And I look forward to getting better, to get better at this craft. And I love it hearing everyone else's speech, and I'm gathering information from that. I just find so much joy from that. So I hope I never stop. I think this is a lifelong thing. And another aspect is there's just so much power in public speaking. I mean, there's nothing else you can do that would leave such a big impact as far as speaking. And it's powerful.
That's so true. That's so true. Do you visualize yourself being on the big stage someday, possibly winning maybe national or international?
I hope so. I hope one day that I'll have an opportunity to help people and coach people and maybe give them some new ideas on how to improve their life. I think helping people is really important, and I feel a lot of joy from that too. So if I can twine the two, helping people and public speaking, it sounds like a good career to me.
Yep. Great. Very good. Very good. I had one more question. I know that you wrote a book. Do you want to tell us how that got started? What started you to decide to write a book?
Yeah, there's a long version and a short version, so I'll just give you the short version. Is that I was never really good in school, And at that time, there wasn't too many solutions of, either you're good at school or you're not good at school. And if you're not good at school, you're most likely going to be a failure. And I always thought that that wasn't me. And I really gravitated towards self-help books, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Tony Robbins. I love that space. I love that space of personal development. And I always dreamed of being, like them or one of them, and giving people an alternative to just, the school, standard school, learn from the book, get hired at a corporation. That's not for me. And I know that's not for a lot of people. So writing this book was to give people a different way to look at things and inspiration that if I can do it, you could do it.
I love that I can do it attitude. I think that's wonderful. Okay, well, thank you to all the contestants for your wonderful speeches, and also thank you for answering these questions that you had no idea what I was going to ask. I think that's the fun part of being Toastmaster, is making up the questions. Next, let's do some silent applause. Everybody can applaud now silently, and let's see. The Chief Judge has the results, so what I'd like to do now is help me welcome our President, Deanna Deviat.
Thank
Are you
you,
ready?
Stacy. All right.
You're welcome.
Okay, I wanted to, first of all, thank all the people that have helped in putting together this contest. And as you can understand, that there's quite a bit of work that's involved in putting this together. And so I wanted to thank our contest chair, as well as our Toastmaster, Stacy Bacon. So thank you so much. Yay! And I also wanted to thank my Zoom co-host, Reba Spencer. Thank you so much. And also, we can't forget our judges and our ballot counters and our timers and everybody else that helped in putting this together. So thank you so much. Devin, am I supposed to do something with the screen? Are we good? Okay, all right, thank you. All right.
You want to take a picture before you announce?
I do. Thank you so much for reminding me, Lucille. What would I do without you? Oh my goodness. Okay. So we have the choice of putting us all in
Put your video on.
put your video on. Everybody turn on your video. And while you're at it, unmute yourself. Why not? Let's unmute ourselves.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Oh my gosh.
Yay!
Yay, we're free. That was awesome. That was such a great contest. Very riveting speeches. Everybody did such a good job. And I'm so glad I'm not a judge, because it would be hard to pick who was the best one out of all those. So, again, everybody, fantastic job. Okay, so let's see. Myra, did you want to show your video too, so we can take a quick picture? Yay!
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody else, we're all good? Okay, all right. Let's smile! And Reba, can you tell me if you got a picture or the screenshot?
Yes on that again.
I've got about 10.
Okay, all right. Okay, drum roll.
Yes, this time. Let's see.
So now I would like to announce the results of our international speech contest. The winner is going
Close
to
it out
proceed
completely, and let's
to
see if Mr. Fogg on
Area
his side
18
needs to do
contest.
some changes.
Somebody's talking, so if you can mute yourself. I think that's Megan. Megan, you might
Megan,
wanna-
Oh.
yeah.
I forgot. I thought he was done teaching.
Okay, all right. So anyway, the winner is going to go to the Area 18 contest, which is going to be November the 14th. So help me celebrate our third place winner. And our third place winner is Pat Harley. Awesome job, Pat. Our second place winner, help me celebrate and cheer for Devin DeVries. Yay. Okay. And the winner for our international speech contest is Corey Murphy. Yay! Woo-hoo! Congratulations again, everybody. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your support. And I would like to formally conclude the contest today. But if anybody wants to stick around, I'm just going to do a quick housekeeping for